Hey, everybody. On today's Locked On Bama, we're going to talk a lot about Caleb Downs. This is a huge pickup for the Alabama Crimson Tide. We're also going to talk about Malik Bryant, who committed to Miami today, and what does that mean for Alabama? And finally, we're going to talk about Julio Jones. He lands with the Tampa Bay Bucs. How awesome is that? He's going to be catching passes from Tom Brady. We're going to talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Bama.
Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey again, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson and me, Jimmy Stein. That's him. Jimmy, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic because today was a big commitment day.
It was Caleb Downs Day. Thank you all for making us your first listen. We appreciate you guys so much. Couldn't do this without you, and we mean that very literally. Couldn't do it without you. Y'all are the absolute best. And when you make Locked On Bama your first listen, it means a lot to Jimmy and me, so thank you guys a ton for that. Jimmy, I want to start this show really quickly, as you can hear my little yap dog in the background, I think. I recorded on my phone some of Caleb Downs' his announcement ceremony. It's about 2 minutes worth. I think it's worth us playing it for those who haven't seen it because I thought it was really cool. I think it sort of gives us a look into what kind of kid this is. He's a good kid. And so just bear with me while I play this video.
Two parents that sacrifice for me every day, and I thank you guys for that. Mom, you're my rock. I love you, and I know you have my best interests at heart, and I love you. Pops, you showed me what it means to be a man. That's something that's really special. You've been my best coach, best mentor, best trainer, best educator, and you instilled faith in me as a child, and that's something that can't be replaced. Bro, love you. Sis, love you too. I want to thank my coaches, trainers, and teachers, everybody that's taught me lessons and provided me wisdom throughout the year. Special shout out to Tony Ballard, my guy, providing me this outfit today. Not saying everybody. Coach Lovelady, thank you for believing me in as a freshman, letting me on the field and giving me a chance. All my rec league coaches, you guys are the foundation that I have in this, and I thank you for that. Lastly, I want to thank all the coaches and colleges that recruited me throughout this process and saw the talent that God instilled in me since I was young. Thank you. I need to thank myself for the dedication I put in this process. For the next 3 to 4 years, I'll be committed to let's go slide. Hold tight, cut. Hold tight.
All right, Jimmy. So a couple of things. He thanked everybody, including the guy who gave him that outfit, which tells me he's a very grateful young man, which is very cool. I thought the hat switch was not a bad touch. When he picked up the Alabama hat, I said, okay, he's going to put it down and pick up an Alabama hat. I guessed what he was going to do, and that's what he did. Of course, nobody was there to hear me guess it, but I did. But regardless, I think this is the best commitment we have so far. No offense to anybody that's already committed to us. I think he's potentially the number one player in the country. You know, obviously that gym is usually going to go to a defensive lineman or at a quarterback. That's typically the way it is. It's not going to go to a safety. They feel like they're not as big of game changers. This dude is that big of a game changer to me.
I couldn't agree more. I think he's the best player at his position in the country. And by that, I mean, I think Caleb is a better prospect at safety than any other prospect is at their position in the country, including quarterback. He also has the lowest floor and the highest ceiling of all of the prospects in the 23 cycle. I think you saw there from that video clip what kind of incredibly mature kid he is. He's not just mature. He's mature in every way. He's mature on the field. He doesn't play like a high school player. He doesn't move or hit like a high school player. And as you see in his comments, he's just an incredibly mature athlete that's so ready for the next level. It's ridiculous. I don't, I'm the guy that all year long talks about how we expect too much out of freshmen. We shouldn't put expectations on them in terms of playing time. We shouldn't act like they're already proven college football players when they're simply high school prospects. I actually have to throw a lot of that out the window when it comes to Caleb Downs. I think I will be shocked if he's not a significant player at Alabama in his freshman season. I think the best comps for him aren't even at the safety position because we've never signed one exactly like him. I think the best comp are players like Julio Jones and Will Anderson, who were Julio and Will, and even someone like a David Palmer. They were, the moment they got off the bus and were on the Alabama football team, the moment they were among the very best players on the whole roster. Will was one of our best defensive players as a true freshman immediately. Julio Jones was probably the best wide receiver we had on the roster day one, the moment he showed up. Caleb Downs is the same way. He will be our most athletic defensive back from day one, and he's got the kind of maturity and intelligence. This is a 3.9 GPA kid with offers from every big-time academic institution in the country. He could have committed to Notre Dame today. He could have committed anywhere today. He could have gone to Stanford. He's a high achiever in every way, and he comes from a high-achieving family. Dad in the NFL. His brother is going to be a first-round pick in the draft next April at North Carolina. His mom was a track star. His sister's a track star. His uncle is Dre Bly, who was a first-team All-American and then an All-Pro NFL defensive back. That's his uncle. Caleb is, I'm telling you guys, we won't get another player in this class any more impressive than Caleb Downs, the number one prospect in Georgia, the number one safety in the country. In my mind, easily a top 10 player nationally in this cycle. And on top of it all, just a stand-up kid. You saw that from his introduction. His very heartfelt thank yous to his parents were very moving. Are you muted? Are you muted?
Yes, dang it.
At least that's your error.
That was my error. But what's so funny is, so on our last podcast where you had some issues, some folks were like, hey, love the podcast, but you guys got to get some of this stuff fixed. And so I was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to treat these folks. I'm going to take a video on my phone, learn how to load it and put it on here. And then they're going to be like, yeah, Luke's got his act together. And then I mute myself accidentally again. Let me go ahead and tell everybody about Bet Online, though. Bet Online is the place you want to go when you want to get that bet in. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every single league, including MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL, AHSAA, ARA, NRA, everything that's got an A in it, you can check on it. Combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information and live in-game betting scores and podcasts. They have you covered every which way. BetOnline is where the game starts. All right, Jimmy. So we talked about Caleb Downs. We both love him. We think he's honestly, I think you could make a case he's the best player in the country. I really believe that. It's going to be hard to overtake some of these quarterbacks. I know Arch Manning is, for the most part, number one. Malachi Nelson is taking that mantle in ESPN, I think it is. But it's going to be tough for him. But I think he's at least in the discussion. And like you said he actually has a low floor and a high ceiling. I think you meant a high floor and a high ceiling.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. Yeah, good catch there. Yeah, what I meant was Caleb Downs has almost a zero bust factor to me, like zero. He's going to be good. He's good right now. He can play college football and be a good player right now. Now, is a chance he won't live up to, hey, 3 and done, first round pick, NFL All Pro? Of course, there's a chance he won't achieve all those things, and he's got to stay healthy. But there's just sometimes you sign a kid, and you'll see if it works out with him. He's again. That's why I think the best comps are Julio and Will Anderson. I mean, guys that are like, well, he's going to be good. It's just a matter of how good.
Will Anderson was one of the best players on the 2020 team that went undefeated and beat everybody except Florida by double digits. I mean, an all SEC schedule. So that's the kind of guy I think Caleb Downs is too. I'm right there with you. Now, so what does this mean? First of all, I was able to discern some information today that made me feel even better about Cormani McClain. And I feel like if Alabama gets Cormani McClain, who weirdly people, not weirdly, I guess, there's a bunch of folks have him rated above Caleb Downs. I don't know as much about Cormani McClain as I do Downs, but man, if that's true, Cormani's a beast. So my point is, if Alabama gets him and they get Caleb Downs and Tony Mitchell and Jaleel Hurley, oh my God. I mean, that's the best defensive back class I've ever seen. Ratings wise.
It would have to be the best defensive back class of all time, the best defensive back class. If you add Cormani McClain, who's arguably the number one prospect in Florida, not just the number one cornerback, the number one prospect in Florida, who is an Alabama lean right now. He hasn't made up his mind yet, but Cormani McClain is leaning to Alabama over Florida. If you add 5-star Cormani McClain to 5-star Caleb Downs, and we've already secured 5-star Tony Mitchell and 5-star Jaleel Hurley, it just has to be. I can't sit here and spit out who the classes are. It just simply has to be the most impressive defensive back group ever signed by one school ever. It has to be.
Hunter Osborne will be committing on Monday. We still feel good there, don't we?
Yeah, I feel like Hunter Osborne on Monday is going to select Alabama. He's not, we won't be raving about him in the same way we rave about Caleb. That's not a shot at Hunter. He's just more of your normal blue chip prospect, like the 130th ranked prospect in the nation, which, by the way, makes him outstanding and a real blue chip. If he chooses Alabama, by the way, he's saying no to Texas. He's saying no to Clemson. He's saying no to most of the SEC. Hunter Osborne, an in-state kid, good enough to be top 5 in the state, in my opinion, most years. But in this 23 cycle, which is one of the greatest years in state ever, I think he's probably somewhere around 11th, 12th, 13th in most of the rankings, which is ridiculous because, again, this is a top 5 kid in state most years. I like Hunter Osborne a lot. I wanted Alabama to take him from day one. He's got to put on some weight. I mean, the issue with him is size. It probably weighs about 250, 255 right now, but is going to play a position at Alabama that would require him to be in the 290 range. So, it might take a year or two for him to add 40 pounds of good weight, but he's got a great frame for it at basically 6'3.5". He's built like a defensive tackle, and if he retains his athleticism, he can be a great pass rusher from the inside. And I'll tell you, it just occurred to me the other day, Luke, in terms of a comp for him, this isn't fair to the kid, but I'll tell you, he's a lot like at the same age, and that's Quinnen Williams. It sort of reminds me of Q at the same age. And by the way, Q had to redshirt. Why? He had to put on weight. Q was also, in his junior year in high school, played outside, and that's what Hunter just did at Trussville. They're approximately the same size, length, and weight and athleticism at the same stage. But Q grew a certain way. Let's see if Hunter does the same thing. But Monday night, I think Monday afternoon, Hunter Osborne will make his commitment known. And I like where Alabama sits right now. I would say Alabama's a solid favorite, but he is very serious about Texas and Clemson as well.
And I'm just going to throw this out there, and there'll be some people be like, you can't just throw this out there. I'm going to say this. I am not saying that this will happen. I feel moderately better about Alabama's odds in flipping Peter Woods at this point right now. I won't say any more than that. I will just say that I thought there was about a 2% chance. I'm going to say it's more like a 15 to 20% chance. And that still doesn't mean it's going to happen. I just feel better about it than I did after today. And, fill in the blanks where you want to. I just feel a little better about it. Jimmy, let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about Julio Jones' new landing spot. Okay. Julio Jones playing with the Tampa Bay Bucs now. First of all, yeah, Tom Brady's setting records now. When you're throwing to Julio, Mike Evans, God, who are the others? Some of the cats they have. Well, I mean, they're not going to have Gronkowski anymore, but they just got dudes on top of dudes. They got Russell Gage, who's pretty solid. I mean, he is a solid second, third option. And who's the other receiver they have that's really good?
Chris Godwin. Godwin still there?
Yes, he's pretty good.
Godwin. Yeah,
I think it's Godwin.
Well, I mean, it's Tampa. It's Tom Brady. It's that great defense. What I'm excited for about Julio is he's accomplished everything, right? I mean, he's going to Canton. I mean, he's going into the NFL Hall of Fame when his career is over. He ranks in the top 10 in so many categories in NFL history as a wide receiver. He's the greatest wide receiver in Falcons history. Some say he's the greatest Falcon in Falcon history, regardless of position. That's unbelievable, but arguably true. What Julio is missing is being a Super Bowl champion. He almost got there with the Falcons. They blew that fourth quarter lead, ironically, to Tom Brady in New England. I would be so happy for Julio just to be a Super Bowl champion. Hard to believe Julio's 33 years old. This will be his 33-year-old season in the NFL. And as we know, he's got some chronically bad hamstrings. That's been the issue with him health-wise. I don't know how much longer the hamstrings can hold up, but I'm going to be rooting for Tampa. Not necessarily for Tom Brady to win another one, but for Julio to get his first. And just seeing the greatest quarterback of all time throwing balls to Julio, that's going to make for some fun Sunday afternoons.
You talk about if you're in trouble, you just throw it up. And the two guys that might come down with it are Julio or Mike Evans. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, they really are crazy. They'll be on the same team, and they didn't play too far apart. Of course, Mike Evans was on the 2012 and 2013 Texas A&M teams and those great Alabama A&M matchups and those Johnny Manziel teams. So Alabama fans, unfortunately, very familiar with Mike Evans. But yeah, I guess he's only 4 or 5 years younger than Julio. Great player. Tampa's got a bunch of good ones. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait. It does give me a reason to watch Tampa. I mean, I always kind of watch him because I like Brady. I do. I'm not crazy about him, but I like him. And I think that it is cool to have that tie-in where he played in the Super Bowl against him. And in fact, Julio was having a really nice game. I think he was hurt in that game, like he was playing injured. But you remember that one play where he stretched out and he caught it on the sideline, and it was just ridiculous. I mean, like, he's one of the few players in NFL history who could make that catch. That's just truth. Moss could do it. God, name some others that could do it. I don't know a lot. Like Jerry Rice probably couldn't do it because he's not tall enough. You had to have incredible balance and the height and the wingspan of Julio Jones to make that happen.
I think
Megatron.
Julio. I think the best Julio catch I've ever seen. Can't believe I remember this, but was it the opener in 2010, maybe against San Jose State in Tuscaloosa? And it was Julio's final year. I think in the first game, a throw from McElroy. And
it was a bad
Julio.
pass.
It was. And Julio had to lay out with one hand and caught a ball that I think was for a touchdown against San Jose State of all teams. But I'll always remember that catch thinking, I think that's the only human being we've ever had here at Alabama remotely capable of doing something like that.
Now, we've seen some great catches, but you got to have all the intangibles like he has. And you're right, it's a shame about his hamstrings. But he says, Julio Jones, I just saw it go across the ESPN crawler. He says he's 100% healthy. Now, look, if you're 33 years old and you've been in the NFL, 12 years, you're not 100% healthy. I can tell you that. But if anybody can pull this off, it's Julio Jones. And here's the thing. I think he's only a few thousand yards away from having the most yards from scrimmage for any player from the state of Alabama. I think that's right in the NFL. Like T.O., who's from my hometown, by the way, I think he holds the record with like 16,000 or something. I saw this the other day. I should have made a better note of it. But it's on AL.com if you're interested in it. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's podcast, everybody. Happy Caleb Downs Day. It was a big one. And yeah, we didn't even talk about Malik Bryant to Miami. We'll talk about that next time. Sorry about that, folks, but we didn't get it. So.
Well, yeah, that was expected. On Alabama's end, that was 100% expected.
All right, buddy. That's going to do it. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Thank you guys for listening. Appreciate you so much. Be sure to subscribe. Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.